Greetings. In this demonstration, I would like to show the Stereopathic Oyster being used as a filter for a bass voice. In this example, I'm using the Make Noise STO and generating acid bass-like sounds. Now, acid bass is typically associated with the infamous TB-303 by Roland, and the sound has a very high resonance and squelchy and overdriven crunch, despite the TB-303 being used to generate bass tones. It takes those bass tones to a very excited and manipulated place. And one of the ways that that sound is pushed to that level is with the modulation and the frequency and filtering of that bass on the TB-303. So while there are plenty of clones in hardware form and there are plugins and software that can emulate the TB-303 acid bass sound, there are times that when I experiment using certain bass voices or synthesizer sounds, going through a filter and then using modulation to affect the resonance and the cutoff frequency, I get sounds that remind me of the acid bass sound. The examples that I'm going to show here, the way I'm going to generate them will be using the Arturia BeatStep Pro to generate a step sequence of notes that will feed the 1 volt per octave input on the STO. That'll give me a melody with the output here. We can. Now, I'm currently not running that sequence, but that is the sound of the voice. And then I'm also going to use a second channel, the yellow channel, for creating a gate. And that gate will trigger this module right here that I've built that is basically just an attack, sustain, and release, and it's an envelope generator. By feeding it a gate in, you can shape a certain type of envelope, and that envelope will be sent to the CV input of the Stereopathic Oyster. That CV input will affect the cutoff setting, and all of this will be enhanced by driving the resonance to about 3 o'clock on each of these controls. And I'm monitoring with the left and right coming out of the low pass outputs going into my mixer. But let's start from the beginning here. The STO mixed output is going into the left channel, and that is being normal to the right, so I'm getting a stereo output, and the filter is completely closed. So this sound is without the filter engaged at all. We're coming out the low pass outputs, but there is no filtering happening at all. I also don't have the resonance controls dialed up at all, so there's zero resonance. So let's add some resonance. Let's go to about 3 o'clock for both of them. As you can tell, it's gotten a little bit more sizzly. So now let's do a little sweep there. And so now the next thing I'm going to do is send a sequence to the STO, our voice creating our bass sound, and that will create a melody. So let's start with a sequence that I've pre-programmed. Hit play. All right, so there's our melody. So where the acid bass sounds come from, I believe, has a lot to do with the way that you tweak your cutoff frequency and having the resonance pretty high. And it's, if I just sent a gate into here, I could still kind of have that acid bass sound, but by sending that gate into an envelope generator, I can change the shape of the gate signal, which is basically just open or closed, and just sort of, it would be a very drastic sound to the cutoff movement. But by having an envelope, you can have more of an attack, some sustain, and a certain amount of release. Those controls right here, by playing with those, you can change the way that the gate will affect the cutoff sweeping of the filter. So let's engage the gate coming out of the yellow channel going into this module here, and you'll see the activity with the red LED light blinking. Now I have the CV attenuator fully clockwise, so I'm giving the entire strength out of this module, and I can dial that back, and that can sort of make that effect a little bit more subtle. Let's change the attack or the release a little bit. So next I'm just going to try a couple different other patterns and experiment with some different adjustments here, and just provide a few more examples of the synth voice, an envelope generator, the Stereopathic Oyster filter, and using the BeatStep Pro to generate a melody sequence, and also gate outputs to trigger the envelope generator.